Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. K. Anil Kumar, Assistant Professor, Discipline of Anthropology, Indira Gandhi National Open University, New Delhi. Today we'll discuss about the module Tribe and its problematic nature from the paper Tribal Cultures of India. So students, let us see what we are going to learn in this module. We are going to learn the meaning and definition of the term tribe, theoretical and conceptual development of the term tribe, the concept of tribe in India, and tribe and its problematic nature with a special reference to India. So, defining the concept of tribe has conceptual as well as empirical problems for the academician. The concept of tribe has transferred traverse a long academic intellectual history in anthropology. In fact, many scholars consider the term tribe synonymously or synonymous with the development of anthropology as a specialized discipline which focused primarily on the study of primitive, remote, isolated, and small scale societies. The word tribe in medieval Europe loosely referred to a group of people maintaining close contact with each other and claiming a descent from a common ancestors. Nevertheless, it also gained notoriety for its assumed barbarous condition, amorphous and apolitical state as opposed to the centralized authority and city-state political organization inherited as a part of Roman Empire. The term tribe is considered derogatory due to its association with savagery, barbarism, and primitiveness. The inheritance of the intellectual concept of tribe by the early Victorian thinkers propping the conceptual development in anthropology followed the same analogy where European society was seen as the pinnacle of civilization and technologically advancement as opposed to the primitive, barbarous, and technologically inferior societies in Africa and the Orient. In Europe, the region to which anthropology owns its beginning, it was mostly the lawyer philosophers who systematized the concept with the aim of delineate the types of societies in relation to the emergence of different laws, customs, and political institutions underpinning human societies and guiding the functionality of human marriage, family, kinship, and other institutions. Thus, it was specially in the writings of people like Henry S. Maine, J.F. McLennan, J.S. Mills, and Johannes Bachofen, etc., who gave shape to the concept to classify the progression of human societies and cultures on an evolutionary scale, and later in the works of early anthropologists like E.B. Taylor, L.H. Morgan, Robert Louis, Malinowski, and even Pritchard, the term became a common currency in anthropology, influencing the development of anthropological theories and ethnographic methods. Consistent with this, anthropologists like Elman Service and Marshall Salins classified human societies on the basis of political organizations such as bands, tribes, chiefdoms, and states. Here, the tribes represented by a political formation based primarily on kinship bonds and segmentary lineage system. However, the term tribe became increasingly complex by as scholars across interdisciplinary boundaries began to attribute both specific and general characteristics to the concept. As such, varying criteria like geographical isolation, marginality, economy, livelihood, language, religion, political organization, territorial integrity, and distance from civilization begin to be identified and to accentuate the understanding of the term tribe. Tribe. The concept of tribe has transferred a long academic and intellectual history in anthropology. In fact, many scholars consider the term tribe synonymous with the development of anthropology as a specialized discipline which focused primarily on the study of primitive, remote, isolated, and small scale societies. The word tribe in medieval Europe loosely referred to as a group of people maintaining close contact with each other and claiming descent from a common ancestors. Nevertheless, it also gained notoriety for its assumed barbarous condition, amorphous and apolitical state as opposed to the centralized authority and a city political organization inherited as a part of the Roman Empire. In fact, the term tribe is also closely associated with what is known as the Dark Age in Europe, a period said to be populated by hordes of kin based warring groups steeped in chaos and barbarity until rescued by the Renaissance and the Enlightenment in Europe, deemed as the age of reason. The inheritance of the intellectual concept of tribe by the early Victorian thinkers, propping in the conceptual development in anthropology, followed the same analogy where European society was seen as the pinnacle of civilization and technological advancement in opposed to the primitive, barbarous and technologically inferior societies in Africa and the Orient. In crux, the development of the concept was shrouded in value judgment and measure of civilizational superiority invented and nurtured by the Western society. Definition of tribe. Anthropologists have defined tribes in varied ways, but if we survey the literature on tribes, some consensus can be arrived at. Broadly speaking, tribes are conceptualized in anthropological literature as isolated or relatively isolated communities having cultural autonomy with a demarcated territory, having a specific dialect, showing relatively simple mode of production, using crude and simple technology, characterized by subsistence economy and absence of monetized economy. It is a group with its own traditional religion, deities, semiotic system, cosmology, rituals, ceremonies, and beliefs, characterized by political sovereignty and self determination, having control over resources at the level of individual and community, sharing the same culture, ethnic identity, history, future aspirations, and where the members have a sense of belongingness to a common stock, which Ralph Linton called as esprit de corps. However, if we understand tribes by all these features, they point toward a particular social stereotype of tribal communities because in reality the communities enlisted as tribes do not possess all the characteristics. For example, Ralph Linton defines tribe as a group of bands occupying a continuous territory or territories and having a feeling of unity deriving from numerous similarities in culture, frequent contact, and a certain community of interest. These characteristics features conjures an image of small group of people isolated in terms of culture, language, and having a different lifestyle in which religion and economy play an very important role along with the politics, but they do not override the cultural values. It is characterized by a communitarian lifestyle with the community well-being taking precedence over individual aspirations, a lifestyle in which the society develops on the availability of local resources. Also, a collective living in which they worship certain gods and goddesses and not comparable with the god and goddesses of great religions, and they have their own religious as well as political leaderships. What is being hinted in this definition is a whole community which is not affected by so-called civilization and mainstream culture. This is way of understanding tribes have created many conceptual problems and ambiguity in the definition of tribes. In India, the term tribe is definitely an exterior category which fails to reflect the indigenous reality. The term tribe is not an indigenous category and lack consensus. Many anthropologists would have reservation using the term tribe. Instead, some have used the term Adivasi, Adim Jati, Anusuchit Jati, Vanvasi, and so on. The tribe is not a universally valid category since the similar group of people whom we call tribe in India are called native Indians in North America, minorities in China, aborigines in Australia, and indigenous people in South America, etc. Even within a particular country, there are different stakeholders who are interested in the study and administration of tribal affairs. There are administrators, census enumerators, planners, and developmental specialists, member of civil societies, and academics, etc. Even among the academics, there are anthropologists, historians, political scientists, sociologists, and social worker, etc. And there is no consensus as to what should be called a tribal society. The problem is even more acute in the case of India due to two fundamental reasons. In India, the criteria to define tribe have changed over the years. In the 1901 census, tribes were identified as those who practice animism. In the 1921 census, the term hill and forest tribe was used, while in the 1931 census, the term primitive tribe was used, and in 1951 as a scheduled tribe term is used in the constitutions. Today, the tribe is used interchangeably with other terms like aboriginals, natives, indigenous people, and so on. If we look into the empirical situation, the problem of defining a tribe gets compounded. For instance, let us take the criteria of isolation or semi-isolation. Studies from Northeast India suggest that the Naga tribe during the colonial and pre-colonial rule enjoyed a different kind of isolations. The Naga villages were located on hilltops and were fortified, having boundary walls and reinforced with wooden palisades, sentry outposts, and khel gates to protect the community from invasion and headhunting raids, and as such it helped the colonial administrator ethnographer to conceive the Naga as an isolated community. However, Hammondorf reported that the Nagas as early as the 18th century would organize themselves and come to the neighboring plains to take away plunder from the markets. Since their relationship with the neighbors was marked with hostility. In the case of Andaman Islands, among the tribes like the Santalis, Jarwas, and Sompen, etc., who is known for their aversion toward outside contact, the colonial government had been sending unmanned boat of bananas, blankets, tents, and other items, and they have been using these commodities, and as such the argument of absolute cultural isolation is a misnomer. Therefore, the criteria of isolation cannot be regarded to judge the community as a tribe or a non-tribe. On the contrary, in the Nilgiri hills of South India, Toda, Kota, Kurumba and Badaga best exemplify the case of economic interdependence and cultural contact between the tribe and caste. The Toda are pastoralists, the Kota are medicine men, the Kurumba are artisans, and the Badaga are agriculturists. And importantly, they are not in the hostile relationship with their neighbors. There exists a kind of exchange mechanism among the four communities characterized by bartering system, assuming a form of Jajmani system, and Jajmani system is found among caste communities. These four tribal communities are not isolated, but they live together in a system of economic interdependence. The very notion of isolation among Indian tribes is a misnomer, since the tribal situation can range from punctuated hostility like among a Naga and Santalis to a system of harmonic economic dependence not only within the tribal communities but with also the neighboring caste communities. So student, now we'll discuss about the critical reflections on the term tribe. The term tribe is considered by many to be colonial construct. One of the persisting controversy among the Indian tribes pertains to their indigenous status. In central India, the term Adivasi is used to refer tribal population as original inhabitants or autochthones. The of segmentary system originally derives from Emile Durkheim's study of polysegmental societies. The characteristics of tribes are fast changing due to the impact of modernization, globalization. Many tribes do not possess the features which are supposed to be the basis of their identification. Theoretical and conceptual development to systemize the concept with the aim to delineate the types of societies in relation to the emergence of different social institutions. Anthropologists like Elman Service and Marshall Shalins classified human societies on the basis of political organizations such as bands, tribes, chiefdoms, and states. Here, the tribes represented by a political formation based primarily on kinship bonds and segmentary lineage system. The ethnographic studies conducted by anthropologists across the globe exacerbated the conceptual ambiguity, since what scholars like Morgan, Shalins, and Godelier saw as organized society with well demarcated social, cultural, and as endogamous unit was challenged by later scholars who witnessed fluidity and permeability in the aforementioned boundaries within the societies identified as a tribes, especially in the context of South Asia. However, the term tribe became increasingly complex as scholars across interdisciplinary boundaries began to attribute both specific and general characteristics to the concept. As such, varying criteria like geographical isolation, marginality, economy and livelihood, language, religion, political organization, territorial integrity, and distance from civilization began to be identified and to accentuate the understanding of the term tribe. The conceptual development of the word tribe is mired in controversy because of the close association between anthropology and the European colonialism. In a radical departure from the tacit definition of tribes, Morton Freud posited tribe as a kind of epiphenomena taking its form and identity from other social formations, which he opened would take a different form and identity when the external source from which the group derived its identity began to shift its boundary and change over time. Though modern flight thesis can be supported by ethnographic data from Africa, North America, and the Indian subcontinent, however, what Maurice Godelier posited, tribe as a both a type of society and a stage of evolution, could be equally substantiated by anthropologists conducting fieldwork in the sub-Saharan region, Australia, and Pacific Islands, although guided by differing theoretical perspectives. Scholars like Elman Service and Marshall Shalins classified human societies into bands, tribes, chiefdoms, and state. According to them, tribe is a type of society occupying a stage of evolution. The study of segmentary system entered the theoretical debate on the tribe after the ethnographic works, kinship, and political organization among African tribes like the Nuer and Tiv. Marshall Shalins puts tribe as a segmental organization composed of number of equivalent, unspecialized, multi-family groups, each the structural duplicate to the other. The definition of tribe as a segmentary system was understood as a societal system composed of equivalent segments or parts, each similar to the other in structure and function, based primarily on kinship rules, both imagined and real, stretching further into larger genealogical groups but maintaining structural parallelism, as best exemplified by Evans Pritchard's work on the Nuer, where a local segment stretched further into hierarchy of lineage up to the binary opposition of the Nuer and Dinka tribal identity. The tribe as a segmentary system was not without criticism, as the segmentary principle was not consistent everywhere, and scholars began to critique tribe as an evolutionary stage which was significantly diverse and too amorphous to be contained within a fixed conceptual framework. Theoretical debate in India. Indian anthropologists use the term tribes in transition due to interaction among different social formations. In the Indian subcontinent, the problem is more observed due to the pervasive reality of what the Indian anthropologists called as a tribe in transition or the tribe caste continuum. According to N.K. Bose, categorization of Janajati, that is tribe and caste, the Jan and had been interacting with the Jati in significant ways since time immemorial. Bose argued that Indian tribes were never isolated but part of the parcel of Indian civilization, and thereafter it is important to understand the process of what he calls as tribe caste continuum. F.G. Bailey identified Indian tribal society as having a definite structure and occupying a special position he defined in terms of segmentary systems. According to Andre Bete, in his important contribution, noted that tribes and civilization have coexisted together, and the demarcating identity of tribe in India has been that of remaining outside the state or civilization, whereby choice or necessity, rather than occupying a definite stage of evolution in the progression from simple to complex social formations. Bete contention was a challenge the West conceptual development of tribe, but as he further observes, and development of concept of tribe in India was to identify rather than define, and the administrative and political pursuits have supplanted the theoretical and methodological considerations. Tribe, the future of the concept. The term tribe has fallen into disrupt in the contemporary anthropological thought, Nevertheless, this does not imply that the concept has been completely discarded for a lack of unanimity and coherence. The term is considered pejorative for its negative connotations, grading human societies on an evolutionary scale. Moreover, scholars in the post colonial context associate the concept with European colonialism and imperialism, perpetuating the colonial conditions and consciousness. Be that as it may, to denounce the social formation, albeit paradoxically identified as a tribe in India and by host of other names in various parts of the globe, would be commit an intellectual fallacy. The concept of tribe may be seen as a social construction, but nevertheless, it also represents a type of social formation maintained by the duality of the self and other, where the resilience of human adaptation, creativity, and environmental factors take the form of ethnic and cultural diversity. At least in the Indian context, the concept is here to stay and will occupy an important space in the Indian anthropological scene for decades in the 21st century. This does not imply that Indian social scientists are averse to change, nor are they oblivious to postmodern semantics and the conundrum of multiple identities vexing anthropological discourse. The concept of tribe has enconceived itself in the Indian context as it has become conflated with the government's affirmative action and constitutional safeguards for marginalized communities of the Indian state. In fact, the term scheduled tribe has constitutional legitimacy and sanction, consequently influencing the academic discourse as well as policy making involving various stakeholders interested in the study of tribes. The social category called as a tribe and also interchangeably by other terms like Adivasi, indigenous people and Janjati, etc., will continue to both enhance and perplex Indian anthropology. So students, let us summarize the whole thing in brief what we have learned in this module. The term tribe has fallen into disrepute in the contemporary anthropological thought. Nevertheless, this does not imply that the concept has been completely discarded for lack of unanimity or coherence. The term is considered pejorative for its negative connotation, grading human societies on an evolutionary scale. Moreover, the scholars in the post-colonial context associate the concept with European colonialism and imperialism, perpetuating the colonial condition and consciousness. Be that as it may, do denounce the social formation, albeit paradoxically identified as a tribe in India and by host of other names in various parts of the globe, would be to commit an intellectual fallacy. The concept tribe may be seen as a social construction, but nevertheless, it also represents a type of social formation maintained by the duality of the self and other, where the resilience of human adaptation, creativity, and environmental factors take the form of ethnic and cultural diversity. Thank you.